Coding with Mr. D. That's me. Welcome back. Today I'm actually going to show you how I made this animation here. And you can do this by customizing your sprite. One way is to just take a picture of yourself, put it on your computer, and click Upload Sprite, just like I did here. And there's just a picture of me standing against the closet. But then you have to actually click on the sprite and go to Costumes. And from there you'll notice there's a lot of tools, like the Eraser tool. All right. So I'm going to use the eraser tool and make it really big here, and I'm going to erase the background so that all I'll be left with is myself as a sprite. All right, so the first part goes pretty quickly, and again, this is just optional. You don't have to do this. It takes a lot of patience to do this, and I'm going to offer you up an easier second option in just a sec, but this is how you would do it. I'm going in a little fast motion here so that you can see. It actually takes a really long, not a really long time, but it does take a fair amount of patience to erase it very carefully without accidentally erasing, your arms and your legs and things like that. So I just went through and I did as good as I could to erase this part, and what I was left with was myself as a sprite. Then I took a second picture of myself and I clicked on new sprite within this sprite to add on a costume. So I picked a second picture of myself, followed the same steps, did all the erasing again, and was able to now have two costumes. So you can kind of see that I can actually switch between those two to make it give the illusion that I'm moving. So then I went through and I did all the erasing again to make it look nice and clean, cleaned up the background there, erased all that stuff. What I was left with was now a sprite that has two costumes, all right? So this is what that would be used for. You can see on the sprite screen, it actually comes out as just one sprite, but it has two costumes. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up my background. All right, so there's me, I'm a sprite, and now I want to tell my sprite to switch costumes, to go from just standing straight up to giving a thumbs up. And you'll notice that there's lots of different sprites I could even add in here if I wanted to. You'll see the letters from that letter project. Hopefully that went well for you. And what I'm going to do to get my sprite to make it look like it's moving and to go between those two different costumes is I'll go to my events, drag my little when flag is clicked, and then I'm going to go to my, let's see here, looks, and I want my sprite to go to the next costume, to switch, just to constantly switch between costumes. And I want it to do it forever, so it'll just constantly look like it's moving. So I put it in that forever loop, and I want it to do it kind of slowly. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change the value from 1 second to a half a second, so 0.5, and you can just play around with it. You can really put in any decimal you want until you're happy with it. And now when I click the flag, you'll see it looks like I'm moving, but really what's happening is it's just changing back and forth between the two pictures, right? Okay, but it kind of gives that neat illusion. Now I'm actually going to hide my sprite now, and I'm going to show you another option. Earlier, before I started this tutorial, I used the app Bitmoji to make a cartoon version of myself. So with a grown-up, you can help do that. And I got like 6 or 7 different poses. Now the problem with that is that the Bitmoji has a white background behind it. So I could either erase all of that, which is really time consuming, or for now I could just switch to a plain white background that will fit my Bitmoji background. So that's what I'm going to do. But now you'll see I need to add different costumes to make it look like my Bitmoji is moving. So I'm going to upload all of those other different poses I have and click open. All right, and now you'll see lots of different poses of my Bitmoji. There's a few of them I don't like. Like I don't like the heart above the hearts and the battery one, so I might change those later, and I can do that. I'm just going to take that same code from my other sprite and drag and drop it over, just like we learned in the last tutorial. And then now, let's see, let's test this out. All right, pretty cool. Now you see some of those costumes in there are not my favorite. They kind of aren't not as good as I would like. So I'm going to go back to costume, and I'm going to just click a little trash can to delete those two, the hearts and the battery, not my favorite. All right, so let's go back to the code screen and try again. Oh, that's much better. But you know what, it's still moving a little bit fast. So instead of 0.5, I'm going to go to 0. Let's see, 1 second, too slow. What could I do? Maybe 0.75 seconds. Let's try that. Oh, that's perfect. That's just the speed I want. So again, with coding, it's just, trial and error. Try, see what looks good, and when you're happy, stop. So now I need to add that title that you see, the opening credits that says Coding with Mr. D. Now, you learned in the last one that you could, make each letter its sprite, but if you just go to add a new sprite from the paintbrush, and you click on the text tool like I did here, you can even just type in the entire text instead of doing it letter by letter and making each letter its own sprite. You can just get a line of text and make that one sprite. So I just clicked on the T for typing. I typed in Coding with Mr. D. I'm kind of moving it around until it's appearing on the screen above my Bitmoji sprite the way I like it. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click out of this and go back to the code. And now you'll notice that my line of text there, it's a sprite, right? It doesn't look like a sprite, but it is. It's in the sprite screen. And now we're going to create some code to give it that neat animated color changing thing that you saw during the introduction. So we'll use when the flag is clicked. Let's see if I can use any code from my other sprites. And let's see here. Probably not. I'm just going to start over. So when the flag is clicked, I'm going to go to the looks. And I'm going to say, there's a bunch of choices here. But I'm just going to pick change color. And then it just kind of has by a certain value. They assign value codes to the colors. And I'm just going to have it do it forever and watch what happens. It kind of goes a little bit too quick, which might make some of our viewers dizzy. So, you know me, I like to add in that wait code. Let's see, 1 second might be a little too long. Let's try a decimal to make it a little quicker. Oh, that is perfect. Now it's not flashing too quick, but quick enough to make it look animated. All right. So next I'm going to add that introduction sound that you heard during the introduction. So let's see here. So now we're going to try to add some sound to our video. So there's some pre-built-in sounds here that you can choose from, or you can record your own. There's a couple ways to do it. I like to go to the Sounds tab and then click down here. You can search for a sound, record a sound, get a surprise sound, or upload, and we're going to record one. And I got my helper here. She's going to help me. Ready, Charlie? 3, 2, 1, go.
Coding with Mr. D.
No, remember, it's Coding with Mr. D, but that's okay because they have this re-record button so we can try again. It's Coding with Mr. D. Ready? Let's try it. 3, 2, 1, go.
Coding with Mr. D.
No, good try. Let's try it again. I think I'll try it this time. Here I go. Coding with Mr. D. That's me. Let's see how that sounds. Coding with Mr. D. That's me. That's great. And what I can do here is I can actually adjust, since it kind of cut Charlie off at the end there. I can trim it. I can either trim it out or trim it in. Let's see how that sounds now. Coding with Mr. D. That's me. Perfect. So I wanted to get all that cute giggle in there. I'll click save. And then from there, you can just leave it recording 1, or I'm just going to call it coding intro voice. I don't know, something like that. And then I'll go back to my code, and really you can attach this voice to any of the sprites that you want. I'm going to add another control in when clicked, and then I'm going to say when clicked, let's play sound, and it's already up there, but if it's not, you can just click from the drop-down menu, and anything that you've recorded will show up in there. And I'm going to say play sound, and let's test this out. Here we go. Coding with Mr. D. That's me. And you'll notice that it doesn't repeat because we didn't ask it to repeat like the other functions. So now that I have sound added to my animation, to my project, I want to be able to save it, so I'm going to name it my coding intro that I'm using for my coding camp. And there's a couple ways that you can share it. Maybe you have email and you want to share the link. But what you're going to want to do after you save it is click on, you should see like a share button. You got to make sure that you're logged in. And mine already says shared because I shared it earlier. But if you click on, after you click share, if you click see the project page, it actually creates like its own little web page for each project that you do. You can give it a title if you haven't already done that. And what this is it just shows what the project looks like without all the code. So, someone like, if your grandma or grandpa just wants to see the project, they don't need to see all the code. They just want to see the animations, right? And you can give little instructions in here. If you click down at the bottom, it'll show you how you can get a link that your grown-ups could email to other family members. You might use the instructions to say, hey, don't forget to press the green flag to get started or to begin the animation. And then notes and credits, you might put like project by Mr. Dotson featuring audio from Charlotte Dotson.
Oh.
All right. And then that just automatically saves. You just got to click out of the box. And then if you want to go back to your project, you just click see inside, and that'll give you the option of, editing your code some more if you find that something's not how you like it. So just a neat way to share the awesome work you've created. So that is it for how to create your own animation, and really this is the end of our time together. Everything though that you need is actually already built in to Scratch, and so I want to remind you of what you can do as you go forth. There are enough tutorials and projects in here to keep you busy for the entire summer and then some. Besides creating projects from scratch, pun intended, you can also remix projects that other people have done, and you can explore those from the Explore page. And you can also click on the Ideas page and remix projects from there. Now you've been to this Ideas page before and you started with animating a name. I would start just going through these tutorials one at a time. They're quick, but they show you lots of different options. Like if you want to use Scratch to tell a story, this is a great place to start. If you wanted to make Scratch to make a game, then this is a great tutorial to start with. We didn't even talk about how to make a game or a story. So there are just so many great tutorials on here that I really just encourage you to go through at your own pace, have fun with it, share it with your family and friends using that share function, and really just hoping you have a lot of fun with it and have a great summer. Take care now.